So we're going to be drawing elevations. What we're going to need to do is, up until this point, we have been we haven't created any classes. So when we open a file, it automatically comes with two classes. So classes are these little hierarchy icon on the left here. There's two that with every file, none. So everything we've been drawing most likely has had a none class or dimension, so that if we draw a dimension, as soon as we choose the dimension tool and we draw something, it's going to have the dimension class and the attributes of those class. So when we're organizing our drawing, we've been creating layers. Our layers are kind of a way of stacking things. So we want to make sure that we're orientating our building in relation to our site plan, in relation to our roof plan, and everything stacks on top of each other. Then our classes are a way of categorizing and organizing our objects within those layers so that they can have certain attributes, that we can turn some things on and turn some things off. So it's a way of organizing our drawings more. Now, when we bring in styled objects, they are already going to have classes attached to them. So I can see here that I didn't actually create any of these classes, but they were brought in by the styled objects that I used. So we want to make sure that I leave the ones that are turned off. Right now, I just turned my dimension class off because I don't want to see them. But non-plot especially is off. We want to leave it off. And ceiling is off, and we want to leave it off. So don't just go in and turn everything on. They're off for a reason. Okay. Now we want to start, we're going to be drawing our elevations. We want to start having, using classes that we create. So I'm going to create some new classes. There's different ways of doing it. I can right click on my navigation palette and go new. I can double click on my classes icon and that brings me up into my organization palette. I can go tools, organization palette, and I'm in my organization palette. That way I can also go, you notice the same icon, if I hover over it, it says classes. I can click on that and that brings me into my organization palette. Ready for another way? I can also go into this drop down menu, and this is giving me all my classes that I have in my drawing. And right at the top it goes new class, and that brings me directly into this new class dialog box. I can also say select an object and go up into my object info palette, click on the drop down menu and go new class that way. So I'll just go like this for now because it's really easy, one click. I have my classes here. We did our line weight classes, so I want to add new class, and I'm going to call it line weight 0.10, hit enter. I want to double click or select it and press edit. I want to make sure I use at creation. I don't understand why they don't just have that as a default. So basically everything we create under this class is going to have these attributes that we set for this class. It's a line weight class, so it has no fill. I'm going to give it a color so we can differentiate the objects. And I want that thickness to match what I'm calling this class. There is no 0.1, so I can go in and set thickness and just type in 0.1 and hit enter, and there's my thickness. If I wanted to change the opacity, I could here and hit OK. And now I'm going to just duplicate my class so that I can double click this. Really, I just have to go in and change the 0.20. It's already used at creation because that was one of the attributes I selected with the last class. I'm going to change this color. I'll go pink. I want the thickness to match what it is. Now I'm going to duplicate that again. Double click. 0.30. I need this to be a different color. Let's do bright green, set thickness. And I'll do one more. And this one I will do 0.5. And this one I'm going to do dark green because this is going to be my ground line. I'm going to change my thickness. There it actually is a 0.5, so I can just select that 0.5 thickness and hit OK and OK. Oh, I should have just done my layers. So now I have my floor plan. I need to also create an elevations layer, so I can just right click and hit new. And I'm going to call this, actually I'm going to call this exterior elevations because we're going to be doing both exterior and interior. So, and I'm going to click and drag this all the way down because it's not actually going to stack. So I'm going to draw my elevations, and this is going to be interesting because I have an angled building. So I'm going to draw this as, this is my south elevation, and I'm going to draw it, like in this case, I'd most likely want to actually draw like possibly 8 elevations because I'm going to do the directions north, east, south, west. And then I might want to draw the front face and or make this the front face, this the rear, and this the left and right. So then I could rotate it so that it's on an angle and draw it that way. So in that, because it's angled, I'm trying to show as much information as possible. So I could just draw it front. I could just draw front, rear, left, right. I'll do both to kind of show you guys what's going on. So in my exterior elevations, I want my main floor visible. I don't need anything else visible right now. And I'm just gonna go into my class. In this case, I'm gonna be drawing the outside of the building. So I'm doing the 0.3. I'm gonna select my line tool, and I'm just going to plot down every little edge corner that we'll see. For the building outline, I have, this is going to be visible. And now at this point, I'm just drawing down my building outline. I'm going to draw another horizontal line. And in this case, this line is going to be the ground line. Now, oh, this is going to get a bit more complex because my roof. So first of all, I'm going to move this ground line. I'm going to move it up 8 inches. And so it's going to be, that structure is going to be 8 inches off the ground. And I'm going to change this back to 0.3. That's fine. Okay. So I'm like, oh, right. So before, what I can do, and then from, that's my floor height, or actually it's not, that's the bottom of my structure. So I'm also going to have my floor system. So I'm going to duplicate, move this up. I'm going to basically assume at this point, I haven't done my calculations to figure out my spans and what framing members I need. So I'm actually just going to assume, draw this at 1 foot for a 12 or 2 by 12 floor system. So that's my floor line. From my floor line, I'm going to duplicate, move up 6'8" for my head heights of my doors and windows. It's going to be a little different for this drawing because right now I'll just do it at that. And then I will also duplicate, move this up, and actually cancel, undo. I want to duplicate, move my floor height up. And if I wanted to do the math, I could, but duplicate, move this up 12 feet. And right now I'll just draw it as these are 12 feet high. So then I've done my exterior of my building. I'm just going to draw a rectangle for that. And now I can delete, use my trim tool, Shift Option L, and trim my lines. I don't actually need these ones anymore. Or I could make it smaller, Shift Option L. And I could just delete this and bring this one over. So I don't need this horizontal. I still am going to need this for my window heights. Right now I still need this floor level for where I'm going to place my doors. I can trim this line here and this line here. So I'm trying to, before I add more lines, more guidelines, I want to clean up and get rid of any ones I don't need anymore. Otherwise it's going to be a whole bunch of lines and you're not going to know which is which, or it gets more confusing. Okay, so now I'm going to pull down my windows. So I'm going to go back into my line tool. I'm going to zoom in. Now, depending on what I'm pulling down, I want to show. So in this case, and it is angled, so it's not going to actually, even though this is 6 by 6, this horizontal dimension is only 3.8. It is a messy dimension, but I'm snapping it off the actual structure. It's just because it's skewed because it's at an angle. So I'm going to go around and I'm going to bring these down. And we're good. So this window is also split in two, actually. I'm going to snap off that. So this is why we need to have our elevations fleshed out, is because we draw from them. And so if you haven't fleshed it out and you don't have your exact locations figured out for where you're going to be placing your windows, you're not going to want to snap off of them if they're going to be changing still. Okay, so now I'm going to create rectangles for these doors. So this is the floor, and these should be close. Wrong shortcut.
What did you just do? Because it happens to me all the time. I can never get out of it.
So you press the M key, and the M key is for multiple viewing panes. And so that you can see when I press it, there's different ways of getting out of it. So this is actually beneficial when we're modeling. Right now we're just using it in 2D view. So this little icon went, and you hover over it, it says multiple viewing panes. I can turn that off. I can also turn it on by clicking that. I can also right click on these little grayed title bars, and it can see that my enable multiple viewing panes is checked. I can uncheck it, and that takes me back. I can also go up into view multiple viewing panes and enable or disable it from there. Okay? So I'm going to make sure that this one is actually going to be mirrored. Should be mirrored over that, a little bit off. That's fine. I'm going to move it. So I'm just boxing in my elevations from the measurements that, or the lines that the guidelines that I drew down.
Question: when you're doing elevations, it's from the exterior of the sheathing, right? Not the
Right.
not the cladding.
No, it's from the cladding.
From the cladding.
Yes. So we are showing what we're gonna see,
Okay.
and we want to represent that siding, and you're not gonna see within the wall, right? You're gonna what you're gonna see is that
And
edge.
dimensions are sheathing.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And roof plan is sheathing as well?
The edge, the outside of whatever that roof, whatever your roof is. So if you say, for instance, have gutters drawn on your roof plan, you're gonna want to draw both, snap off the structure, and then make sure you show the gutters as well.
But when I'm like drawing down to make my roof plan,
Yeah.
or like the building outline,
Yeah.
because I'm redoing it, because the exterior can change, right?
Right.
So would it be like the outside of the sheathing?
Well, it depends what you're pulling down
Right.
from those snapping off of. So if you're snapping off the structure,
Yeah.
then you're showing, and this is like, so you're also gonna have fascia boards, right,
Yeah.
and all that. So if you're just snapping off the structure, then that's what you're boxing in, and then drawing, if there's fascia boards on top of that, you're drawing that.
Okay.
So I mean, you could just snap off everything. Okay, I've just deleted those guidelines because I don't actually need them anymore. I've drawn in those windows. And in this case, I'm just going to. So our windows, we are drawing our elevations using only black and white. So we don't want to apply color. We don't want to apply any images. We're just using black and white. So lines, rectangles. If we're wanting to add detail, we're going to use our hatches. So in this case, I want to actually select all these because these are going to be glass panels. So I'm going to go up into my attributes palette and I'm going to change these to a hatch. And then once I change them to a hatch, this drop down menu for the fill hatch comes up. And I can see these are my default hatches. There's tons of hatches available. You can see that there's different, and they usually represent what you are drawing. Oh, there's even a tile 12-inch square cross pattern if you want, or running bond. So you find what most closely represents what you want to use. In this case, I want this to be glass, so I select that glass hatch. I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna want to add trim. So remember I'm gonna use that offset tool. I will do 6 inches. I'm gonna offset inside, but then I actually want it to be 6 inches on the top and bottom and only 4 inches on the sides. So I'm going to take this shape and I'm going to lock the center, and I want to change the width. I'm going to, and it's skewed, so I'll just minus 4 inches for now. Oh, actually, I want to add 4 inches. So I can just do that by adding that value into the dimension or the width box. You can just, all those operators, plus, minus, multiplication, equals, do work in our object info palette. So you're just gonna go in and add as much detail as possible. I actually want that white. So in this case I have, and I'm going to change this class. So you want to show your trim. You want to show trim around the windows if you have it. These are going to be posts that go straight up. And now I'm going to want to actually apply a fill to that. I can just do solid white, and then I can click on and drag. So I don't have, this is just gonna be siding on this side. So again, I can go in and draw a rectangle and choose a hatch. And sure, I'll leave it at, and you can try the different hatches and see what they look like. You can see that these hatches, they don't have a fill behind them. So what I can do, if I wanted to cover up objects behind, I can duplicate the shape and then give that shape a solid fill of white, and then I can send that back or Command B. And now that I can shift select there's the rectangle that's a solid white fill, there's a rectangle there's the hatch pattern, and then I can bring this forward, and now I don't see those lines behind. I can even group them if I want to, so that now they stay together. Any questions? Everybody feel good about drawing down, snapping down their elevations?